Growing up, I'm sure we all knew who Michael Jackson was, knew all about his dances, knew all about his music, knew all about how famous this man was, knew all about the controversies and whatnot surrounding his name. So when I heard there was a Michael Jackson movie coming out, I was fucking excited. So when it finally hit theaters, I was first in line to watch this shit. But let me just say this first. The movie, if you are a die-hard Michael Jackson fan like myself, it's gonna be kind of underwhelming. Without spoiling too much, it's gonna be very underwhelming. Super vanilla. Not to say it's a bad movie, because I think it was actually pretty good, but the story itself is gonna be underwhelming if you are a Michael Jackson fan. If you're just the average Joe Schmo who doesn't know much about Michael Jackson, but you've heard all the hit songs and whatnot, this will probably be more enjoyable for you. But if you are somebody who knows the Michael Jackson story in depth, this is going to be super underwhelming, and at times you'll find yourself feeling like you're being safeguarded from something. So anyways, while watching this movie, I took down a couple of notes to make this video, so I'm just going to run through these. First and foremost, Jafar Jackson fucking killed that shit. That dude embodied Michael. That dude embodied his uncle on a next level kind of thing. That dude did phenomenal. So I can't put all of the blame on Jafar. He did perfect. I don't think he could have done any better of a job impersonating his uncle, which is great, because from what I understand, when the directors were originally looking to cast somebody for this movie, they were looking for somebody to not only appear like Michael Jackson, Fabio Jackson. They were not only looking for somebody to look like Michael Jackson, they were looking for somebody who had the mannerisms, who actually embodied Michael Jackson. And when they picked Jafar, at first I was a little skeptical. Although he does look like Michael Jackson, I feel like there's other impersonators who look far more like Michael Jackson. And I kind of went into the film with that kind of bias. But after going through the whole film, he killed that shit. It got to the point where I didn't even notice it, because all the mannerisms and everything he did acting out his uncle, you don't even notice it. It slips your mind within the first 10 minutes of when they start showing his adult life. And the thing is, when you fucking close your eyes and you just listen with your ears to Jafar's voice, you would think Michael Jackson fucking came back to life. He sounds just but like anyways, him. Without LARPing too much onto this, Jafar pretty much killed it, man. He did a great job. But I can't just give all the props to Jafar, because Colman Domingo killed the role of Joseph Jackson. When I was watching the film, it felt like he was my fucking dad getting mad at me. He really embodied Joseph Jackson, and he really embodied that fear that Michael felt. But here's when my issue comes in with the movie itself and not the actors. Pretty much, from what I understand, the original movie was way more in depth than this. It was way more harsher. But from what I understand, the Michael Jackson estate was going to sue them if they dropped the original version. So I can't blame the actors for it. I'm sure it was way more in depth than we saw in the actual film that came out. But it's just a shame that he couldn't put his all into that character. Of course, without spoiling it, there is one scene in the beginning when they're first coming up in the Jackson 5. Joseph Jackson whoops the shit out of Michael. And, you know, I didn't like seeing it, but it was real. It made you feel bad for Michael. It made you want to hate Joseph Jackson. It really put you into the film. And another thing I really liked about this film, and I had fears of going into it, was that it wasn't going to be in chronological order. The big problem I had with the Bob Marley movie is it was just scattered all over the place. If you're not somebody who knows his story in depth, that's why I didn't really like the Bob Marley movie. It was all over the place. I much rather prefer when a biopic is in chronological order, so it's easier to understand. I love the pacing of this movie. It was paced perfectly. My only problem is all the dance sequences. Now, I get it. It's the Michael Jackson movie. They had to show him dancing, but it's almost like it just takes up way too much of the movie. And for Michael's life, you got to compress this thing, because there is so much stuff that happened in between the Thriller era to the Off the Wall era that they weren't able to get into, because a majority of the movie is just showing the dance sequences, which I can appreciate. But when you have a movie about Michael Jackson, you're going to have to try to squeeze all you can in there. And when you have 12-minute dance sequences, it's taking away from a lot of the story. Yes, did I want to see dancing? Of course. But for it to be 12 minutes long in between these sequences, it kind of gets dragged out. And unless you're some fucking dance fanatic, it's taken away from the story. I know people might gaslight me for that opinion and hate on it, and it's completely understandable. I get it too. I wish the movie could have been longer, but that's just the way it went. I wish they would have went more in depth with the story instead of having all the dance sequences, but that's just my opinion. The other thing I really, really liked about this movie that they kind of give like fan service to people that actually know the story is little things like having Dave in the movie. So whenever Michael Jackson got into that burn incident where he was filming the Pepsi commercial and then his hair caught fire and he had to go to a burn center for a while, they actually show little things like a scene with Dave. It's very short, but it's a little thing that if you know about his story, you're like, oh, that's Dave. So it's little things like that that I really like. On top of that, there was a scene where Michael Jackson is sitting in the pool thinking of what he should do for a song next and pretty much looking in the sky saying, God's going to give me these ideas. And he pretty much says, if I don't do this, Prince will take these ideas, which I thought was funny as shit because it's actually based on a real thing that Michael Jackson said towards the end of his life. And it's just, like I said, little things like that that make the movie super, super enjoyable. Now that I have praised the movie and told you the things that I like, let me tell you what I absolutely fucking despised about this movie. For one, apparently there's going to be a part 2 coming out, which it makes it feel like a cash grab when you're watching part 1 and you know this. Because at certain parts of the movie, like I said, the dance sequences, it feels like they're kind of just trying to drag the movie along to try to get into a part 2 and make more money. But my problem with this part 2 is we left off on the Thriller era where Michael Jackson pretty much tells Joseph Jackson, I'm done with the shit. I'm not touring with my brothers anymore. And the problem is, after that, this is when you really start to get into the deep controversies with Michael. And the thing is, I don't think they're going to touch on it without being sued. So I don't think they will be able to touch on it. So at that point, it's just going to be like, what's the point of watching part 2? I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't really have high hopes. I'm just holding my breath on this. I'm not holding my breath on this. I don't know what they're going to do. But yeah, like I said, if you are a true Michael Jackson fan, when you're watching this movie, you will feel like something's missing. Like it will just feel way too vanilla. You just will feel like something's not right. Like they're telling the story in the most nice, family-friendly way ever, and that just wasn't Michael's life. It wasn't. But overall, I thought the movie was pretty good. It could have been a lot worse than what we actually got in the final product. So overall, would I watch it again? Sure. Is it my favorite thing ever? Not really, from a big fan perspective. But if you're just the average Joe Schmo and you just want to know more about Michael's life and, you know, whatever happened throughout that, it is great. It gives you perspective and it lets you just know the little things. So for that, I give it its credit. But yeah, besides that, the movie's great. See you guys. Just wanted to yap about this a little bit.